Thinking ahead of Tucker. Goes back to pass. Throws long. Down to the left side to Zeno. Coleman. Zeno has it down the far side. He goes to the 2-yard line. And he's pulled down to 2. Great catch by Coleman Zeno.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. And welcome to the Gridiron. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone out there who's been watching my videos. Thank you. If you can maybe give this video a thumbs up or possibly leave a comment below, maybe even share this video, it would mean so much to me. But at least anyway, just thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to check out this video. Thank you. Well, now we got the edge / defensive end kind of category, if you will, on the defense. Some of the top free agents the Giants could possibly be looking. I'm just going to pretty much go over like the top ones. There's a ton of them out there. I mean, you know. But obviously, if they're not on this list, they're not like the elite of the elite, you know. But then, I mean, even with the Giants, I mean, so some of these guys are just pretty much kind of like out of the Giants' price range. Some of them are just like stopgaps. You know, they're just old or older. You know, not something you're going to be signing for long periods of time. I mean, as I'm saying, like if you were like the Rams last year with like Von Miller, you know, I mean, you wanted somebody, just put him in there, right? Have him do his thing for like a year to see if they can get you over the edge into the Super Bowl and win it. You know, I mean, that's like what, you know, some of these guys are. I mean, even, I'm not going to be talking about JPP, but even JPP, I think, is a free agent out there, too. I mean, Tampa Bay, I'll tell you, whew, you can wave those guys goodbye. They ain't sniffing no Super Bowl in 2022, I can tell you that much. Brady's gone. I think Fournette's a free agent. I mean, no big deal, but Brady, Godwin, one of their offensive linemen retired. Jensen, their center, is a free agent. And they got another. I mean, the Tampa Bay can try to re-sign him. Don't get me wrong, but they got another offensive lineman who's a free agent. I mean, I said JPP, no big deal. But I mean, yeah, I mean, Gronk, he's a free agent. Yeah, you kiss Tampa Bay. Ain't no Super Bowl for them this year. They got their one Super Bowl, so they're good for a while. I mean, like every 20 years they win a Super Bowl. They won in 2002. Right, then they won after the 2020 season. So like every 18, 20 years they'll win a Super Bowl. Maybe around 2040 they'll win another one. But anyway, the Giants right now, they're switching over to a 4-3. I mean, obviously, you know, with Don Wink Martindale, his defense is all about, you know, pressure. So defensive ends that can get pressure, you know, / edge rushers that can get pressure. Very, very important. Now, also, I mean, like on his defense, you know, because when they're trying to blitz some guys, that you know, they're going to need some good guys in the secondary as well too, and we'll be going over those guys. Obviously, the linebackers, cornerbacks, and safeties in videos coming up. But you know, pressure. It's not necessarily all about you know, the defensive ends or defensive, you know, guys on the line getting pressure. I mean, it's just, you know, sending other guys as well, too. But, I mean, you know, guys that can get pressure on the quarterback are huge. Now, the one guy that, you know, the Giants just don't really know. And obviously Shane not having any ties to him, that maybe if Gettleman was still here and Judge was still here, maybe possibly Lorenzo Carter, yeah, might try to, because I mean Gettleman's one who signed him. That was in his first draft. You know, maybe Gettleman would try to re-sign him. Now, according to PFF, right? They got him. I thought maybe a little low, but they got him projected around $4 million a year. I thought that was maybe a little low. I thought he'd get maybe a little bit more than that, but I mean, who knows? But you know, I mean, I'm sure Shane's checking the tape. Yeah, obviously, I mean, I don't know if Lorenzo wants to stay here or not. Who the heck knows? Or somebody's going to throw some nice money. Maybe he'll get $8 million a year from somebody. Who knows? Because he's still young, you know. But you know, is he good? Was he good? Was it 3-4 where he was an outside linebacker? You know, or how would he be in a 4-3? That's the question. Now the other thing is, what Lorenzo Carter are you getting? Are you getting the Lorenzo Carter last year, who in the first 10 games he played in got 0 sacks? Or are you going to get the Lorenzo Carter who got 5 sacks in the last 4 ball games of the season? I mean, again, against the Cowboys, the second time we played him, he got 2 sacks. PFF, he graded out over a 90. It was like all of a sudden he just turned into Superman. I mean, the last 4 games he got 5 sacks. First 10 games, nothing. What Lorenzo Carter are you getting? Was it kind of like, it's the end of the season. I'm on a salary season here. I think I better start stepping it up a little bit because I might want to make some money next. I mean, where was he at the first 10 games that he played in? Huh? So, I mean, it's kind of interesting what Lorenzo Carter you're going to get. But anyway, he's built freakishly. He's young. I mean, he did have the injury to 1 year. But I mean, he's young and he would be somewhat affordable. So who knows? But it said once again, Martindale has no ties to him. Dable has no ties to him. Shane has no ties to him. So who knows? The next guy is one of those stopgap kind of guys. Which ain't too bad. Mr. Von Miller. Okay. PFF has him. This is where he's like a little out of the Giants' range. Like maybe a 2-year deal. But like maybe around $17 million a season. So they were looking at like things like obviously 2 years for $34 million. I forgot it was like $20 million guaranteed or something like that. But it's a little bit out of the Giants price range. Because also he's 33. You sign. I mean it's as I said, the Giants were on that kind of the doorstep of maybe knocking on that Super Bowl or whatever. Maybe. But they're trying to, it was kind of like what Judge was doing, He was kind of clearing house, bringing his own guys in 2 years ago. Well, it's the same thing here. It is 2 years later. Dable and Shane are here, clearing house, bringing their own guys in. Want to start off, right, especially with the draft, bring the guy, sign our 9 draft picks. Next year, maybe get another 7, unless we get a compensatory pick for maybe losing Ingram or possibly, or somebody else. But, we got the 9 this year, the 7 next year. Maybe we can sign us. Now you got 16 guys, and start working from there. Bringing somebody in like Von Miller, who's 33, you're going to want to spend $15 to $17 million a season on him. Yeah, I don't see that wind up happening. He's just more like a stopgap. He did great. He graded out very, very well in 2021. So, if the Giants, if the Giants were on the edge of winning a Super Bowl or something, I could see signing. But other than that, nah. Somebody else. I'm sure somebody else will sign him, but he's just too old and too expensive for the Giants right now. The next one is Chandler Jones of the Cardinals. He's another phenomenal defensive end / edge, but he's 32. All right, PFF has him, right around the Von Miller kind of thing. 2 years. This is just from PFF. He gets signed for 15. He can sign for 14. Somebody might throw 18 at him. It's just a ballpark number, the number that I saw. They know PFF. Not everybody likes them, especially with their grading. All right, but PFF thinks it's 2 years, like about $16.75 million a year. I'm not going to argue with them. So that's what they figure. All right, and I said, he's a 3-down lineman. Right, so he's in there all the time. He can play he can do anything. He can do it. He can do a 3-4 or a 4-3. 2021 didn't have exactly a banner season. He only graded out like a 68.2. But I said, once again, he's 32. You throw a couple of years at him, by the time he'd be 34. So he'll help out. He's just too old for the Giants. Once again, same thing with Von Miller. Too old and too expensive. I said once again, he's a stopgap. If you're going to sign him for a couple of years because you think you're close, like maybe somebody like the Bengals, or we're close, right? If they got the money, they could sign him, and I'm sure he would help him out a heck of a lot. The next one you got Davian Clowney. All right, he was with the Browns. He does have a tendency to get hurt. The guy flies around. The guy gives it his all. The one thing I freaking love about him, I don't watch every one of his plays and all this, but when I do watch him, the guy seems like he's out there hustling. He's diving around, all so I love his spirit. I love his heart and all. I said sometimes you're just diving around, throwing your body around recklessly, you get hurt, and he does have a tendency to get hurt. And he's only, he's only 29 years old. The guy's been around a long time. I was. When I saw him, I'm like, it's got to be like 33 at least somewhere. I mean, it seems like he's been around frickin' forever, but only 29. PFF has him around $15 million a season. Now he didn't exactly have a banner season last year either. I mean, I think $15 million is, well, I mean, it's not 1960 anymore. You know what I mean? So I get it, 15 million, but it's like, I don't know, it just didn't seem like he's really worth $15 million a season to me. I mean, I love him, his attitude and where he hustles and all and everything, but sometimes his production and his injury history is just not quite there. So I mean, it's once again same thing, a little too expensive for the Giants' taste. The next one we got is an interesting one. Randy Gregory, coming from those Cowgirls. He's only 29. All right, PFF has him around $12.5 million a year. All right. He was only in 14 tackles last season, which is not exactly said, but he's good. He is good at rushing a passer. Got to give him that. He had 6 sacks. He had 2 forced fumbles last year. All right, but he had 25 hurries and he had 12 hits. All right, and so passing, rushing the passer and all. He's very good. He's not super duper phenomenal at helping out in the run game, but he's productive in the pass rush. But I mean, once again, $12.5 million. I mean, he's not that old. He is productive in the pass, so you got to give him that, right? But I mean, once again, for the Giants, at just $12.5 million. I said, I mean, we might have. I was going to say maybe around $20 million to throw around. I mean, if we get the $40 million that Shane's looking for, we sign our draft class, we might have maybe 30, 31, 32 left over. If we're going to spend maybe 15 to 20 million on some free agents, I mean, that'll leave us maybe 10 or 15 going into the season, which is kind of about what you might even want even more than that, 15 to 20, but I mean, if we're going to have like maybe 20 million to spend on some free agents, we're not. I'd have a hard time seeing us signing like somebody for $12.5 million, like unless it's going to be like a good tackle or a really good guard or somewhere along those lines. But other than that, I mean, I could see bringing in maybe a couple guys for maybe somebody for a couple guys in for $6 million a year or something like that. I mean, double digits might be a bit much for the Giants. You got this guy Emmanuel Ogbah from the Dolphins, right? PFF has him around $15.5 million. All right, he's only 28 years old. He had a nice season last year. Right? He had 11 sacks. Okay, 1 forced fumble. He had 37 hurries and 13 hits. So he had 61 total pressures all together. So between your hurries, your hits, and your sacks, you add them all up, and that's your total pressure. So he had 61. So not too bad. He's young. Once again, $15.5 million. It wouldn't be bad for the Giants. Maybe in 2023, they're going to have some salary cap then. This year, no. But so whoever winds up signing him, it could be the Dolphins. They could re-sign him. But whoever gets him, he's very productive in the pass rush. That's for sure. Then you got Melvin Gordon, the third. I think he is. He's kind of the same thing. He'll be 33, but Pro Football Focus has him at $8 million. All right. Now he shouldn't. I was reading his. He shouldn't be basically your number one edge rusher. You should have whoever your primary guy is, maybe on the other side. He should be over here helping out. I mean, just don't sign him. We got Melvin Gordon. He's our number one guy, and he'll carry the load for us. No, I mean, especially at his age too. I mean, he's very he's affordable. I said if you can bring him in and you put him with somebody else, that's fantastic. He graded out last year. He graded out at 79.7. All right, so he was with the Chiefs, but he only had 3 sacks. All right, as I said, same thing. He's kind of like affordable for the Giants, but I think he's a little obviously too old. You're going to sign him to a couple-year deal. I mean, there's no sense at all. Why would the Giants sign him for 1 year? I mean, it makes absolutely no sense at all. No sense. If if they would sign him for a few years, I mean, he's going to be 35 years old, or he's just too old. I mean, but I mean, somebody will sign him, and maybe for a year deal, maybe 2 at the most. The next one, you got Hassan Reddick. Now, this guy here from the Panthers, right? He's only 27. PFF has him at $11.67 million a year, baby. Yeah. They have maybe a 3-year deal for $35 million. Yeah, not bad. He had a nice year last year. He had 15 sacks, 1 forced fumble. He had 53 total tackles, which is, pretty impressive for some of these guys. I mean, some of these guys aren't in on many tackles. All right, he does play well in a blitzing scheme, like the Giants. He play, what I was reading is, he likes that. He plays good in pressure, blitzing. He does very, very well. I said, I mean, it doesn't mean, he had 15 sacks last year. Doesn't mean he's going to get 15 sacks ever again. But for a Panthers team that was not very good last year, he had 15 sacks, 53 total tackles. That's very, very impressive. And they got him at $11.67 million a year. That's just a number. It could be anywhere from 10 to 12 million. But that's, for him, he's only 27. That's, maybe somebody the Giants can look at. I don't know if they're going to go that far, but it's somebody, he's only 27. Then you got Mr. Landry, all right, from the Titans. All right, Harold Landry. He'll be 26, so he's young. All right, PFF has him about $15 million a year, 4-year deal, maybe around $60 million. Now he is better. Unfortunately, what I was reading, he's better suited in a 3-4. All right, outside linebacker. So I mean, that doesn't mean like with Martindale, it's not because he runs a 4-3. It certainly don't mean we're running 4-3s all the time. I mean. I said, I've seen like 3-2-6. I mean, you got a 3 defensive linemen, then you walk like 3 or 4 other guys up, and they have no idea what those 3 or 4 guys who's rushing the quarterback and all that. So I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean if somebody's better in a 3-4, it doesn't mean that you certainly wouldn't look at him. But I mean, once again, if he's going to get around $15 million a year, that might be, a bit much. But what I was reading is he's good. He can drop in coverage too. So he can be an outside linebacker. He can rush the quarterback. He can drop in coverage. He was in on 63 tackles last year, which is very impressive. He had 14 sacks. He had 64 total pressures. So he had a very good year last year for the Titans. And as I said, once again, he's only 26 years old. So, I mean, that might be somebody, especially if he can drop in coverage. That's something the Giants could really use. I mean, especially the one thing is with Martindale is that they send in the pressure. You're going to try to send, 6 guys and they got 5 blockers, right? But then that's going to leave 1-on-1 with all the guys in the secondary. So you need guys back there who can cover. And if you can send somebody like Harold Landry out there who can drop in coverage, I mean, it would be an expensive splash, but he's only 26. Might be worth it. I mean, he just might fit into Martindale's defense. Then you got this guy, Justin Houston. He seems like every year he seems like he's on a different team lately. Anyway, he was with the Ravens. He's same thing. He's 33 years old. He can either be a defensive end in a 4-3 or an outside linebacker in a 3-4. So he's very, very flexible. PFF has him for about $7 million. All right, and like with Melvin Gordon or something, he can be helpful. All right, to a team who's in contention, but that's not the Giants. The Giants would have no need, whatever, to really sign anybody like him. But he's available, and with his talents, somebody will certainly want to sign him. Then you got Jerry Hughes with Buffalo. So there is a little connection there. All right, but he'll turn 34. All right, PFF has him at $6.5 million a year. All right, he's a pass rushing specialist. But Dable's familiar with him, and Shane's familiar with him. So, but he is a little old. He had last year, he's pretty much on passing downs, he had 45 pressures, right, on 343 pass snaps. So, that's a nice, 343 pass snaps. Usually a team might have 600 or 700. So you can he was in on 343. So a normal defense, where you can almost double that amount of pass snaps that they would have. And if he had 45 pressures in half, that would give him 90. Wow. That's some nice numbers there. And as I said, it's only $6.5 million, $6-7 million. Somewhere around there. That's affordable. The only thing I said, once again, with the Giants is he's old. There's familiarity there with him, no question. But the Giants want to sign a 34-year-old to a couple-year deal. You're not building a team with him. So then you got that Derek Barnett. Actually, I was at the draft in Philadelphia when he got his name called in the first round from. I think it was Tennessee. I believe it was Tennessee. But the fans in Philadelphia were not exactly thrilled to death when they heard his name called. I can kind of tell you that. But he'll only be 26. Once again, he just got drafted in I believe it was 2017. PFF has him at like $12.5 million a year. He's a former first round pick in 2017. But he's kind of like. He only had a couple sacks last year. He's okay in the run. He's okay in the pass. But he's young. Sometimes maybe because he's not working out in one defense, it doesn't mean Wink Martindale can't use him in his. But $12.5 million. His production has really not been that super duper. I think the Giants can maybe pass on him. Although, as I said, he's only 26 years old. He's just a baby. Then you got the last one I'm just going to put up here is Charles Harris, from Detroit. Now, he's 27 years old. PFF has him at $9 million, all right? And he'd be, what they got here is he would be a nice number 2 or 3 pass rusher. Don't put him in there predominantly as your main pass rusher. Now, he did have 8 sacks last year. He had 52 total pressures last year. So, is somebody who's young. He's only about $9 million. Wouldn't be bad. The only thing I'm thinking is that in the draft, Jacksonville is going to take a tackle. I'd be shocked if they took somebody else. They want to get somebody in there maybe to protect Trevor Lawrence. So Kwanu or Neal is probably gone, first pick. So that would leave Hutchinson, because Dan Campbell, his press conference, he just wants to bite people's kneecaps off. That's what his team's going to do. So if you got a Charles Harris on one side, and then they take Hutchinson with the number 2 overall pick and put him on the other side, that would be a nice 1-2 combo. Detroit would have to want to re-sign him because he's a free agent, but that's kind of what I'm thinking there. They got they got the 1-2 combo there. That would be pretty good for Detroit. But for the Giants, $9 million. He's not your top pass rusher. He's young. Maybe somebody consider. And I said, there's the Shane. They got Dable and Shane. Martindale. We've got Carter Coughlin, right? We got Cam Brown, Trent Harris, Quincy Roche, even the X-Man, Oshane Ximines. They might all be gone. Oshane Ximines. I think if we let him go, I think. His salary is 1.2. So he's got $200,000 dead cap hit. So we would say if we let him go, we'd save $1 million. The past couple of years he is not. He got injured in 2020, but last year he was like almost non-existent. No sacks. Sad season. Carter Coughlin, he was injured last year. Shane has no. You can just let him go. Cam Brown. He's very good on special teams. Not too good on defense. If you let him go, there's no dead cap money there. Trent Harris, Quincy Roche, those guys could be gone as well too. So be interesting to see what Shane winds up doing, because some of these guys you can just let them go, save some money, right, and just let them go, save some money toward that salary cap, and maybe try to pick some guys up at the college free agents, or pick some guys up in the draft, or maybe pick up one of these fine defensive end / edge rushers, because Giants can use all the help they can get in the edge rushing category. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo!